Okay, in last class, we started with lecture one of this course. We couldn't finish. I have come up to sociological aspect, okay? And then we said that we'll continue after that. While we are talking about the sociological factors, we said that if you look at the human civilization developed along some lines of communication. And basically, in old days, human civilization was developed besides the river lines, okay, or besides a seaport, okay. And then, and I cited some example like that the civilization which are developed near the Aegean Sea, then near the Nile, okay, and also the near the sea. And also some of the civilizations like the Babylonian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, the Assyrian civilizations that developed besides the Euphrates and Tigris, these two rivers. Those are the cases of the old days. In the present day, we can see that highway adjacent development. Okay, we can see that a lot of motels, okay, are developing near the highway, and that is creating a new culture. So people, okay, in case of a journey of 5 to 6 hours, they are making a halt at the hotel, and those hotels actually are actually in our country. People just get down to refresh or have some snacks, but in outside they have got motel also. In motel you can stay. So because once they travel from one state to another state, so the drivers they need to take a break, and then in those countries actually the tourists actually in order to avoid high cost of hotel they prefer to stay in a motel which is a cheaper means of accommodations. And with the development of highway adjacent infrastructure, the problem of law enforcement agencies also increases. Okay, nowadays that's why you will see that the highway patrol are very much active because the robbery or vandalism actually, okay, these issues come up. So these are new issues in present days. It was also there in earlier days also. And then when there is development takes place, for example, if a four-road lane is converted to six-lane road, or when a new system is introduced along a line of communication, for example, if an MRT line is introduced or an elevated expressway is introduced, so you see that the property values adjacent to those areas increases. So these are the sociological impacts, you can say. And also due to the effect of transportation, the city patterns, the city development of city, okay, this is shifting because how the cities will be connected with the old cities or the CBD. Assalamu alaikum. Are you with me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are some interruptions from ICT. Okay. So we're talking about the sociological aspects. Okay. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. We're talking about the sociological aspect. And then we said that city patterns, okay, and lifestyles, how lifestyles are changing, okay. You know that now you can see in Dhaka, in outskirts of Dhaka, a lot of resorts are being developed, and during holiday, people move to those resorts, and that's why during holiday, even before 10 years, during Friday or Saturday, we would see that there was no traffic on the holiday. Holiday means the street used to be remain free, but nowadays during holiday, we can see that flow of traffic to certain destinations. And the concept of CBD and downtown, that means during the morning, okay, you'll see the flow of traffic, tidal flow from one direction to the center of the city. And in the evening, the peak is different and flow is different. And during festival, we discussed that, okay, for us during Eid, you can see that is a special occasion. There is a huge load comes on the route or the travel or the traffic network. Tourism has increased. Okay, a lot of people make tours to different destinations at Chittagong, then Chittagong Hill Tracks, Cox's then Sylhet, then Sundarban, then Kuakata. So this is possible because the respiratory system is developed. And now you can see the intensity of domestic flight. Okay, people don't afford nowadays, since the economic condition of our country actually is a little bit better, and it is getting better day by day. So more people, instead of making a journey from Dhaka to Chittagong or Dhaka to Soitpur by road, they are choosing the domestic flights. And even during the festival, people go out for shopping. During Eid or during Puja, you will find that from Bangladesh, a lot of people crossing the border. Okay, they go to Calcutta, or some of them go to Thailand, and some of them go to Singapore for shopping. So this all happened due to the development of communication system or transport system, and these are called the sociological impacts of transportations. Now, cultural effects. Now, it is difficult to distinguish the cultural effects from the sociological effects because these two merges sometimes, and it becomes very difficult to differentiate these two. One thing happens that, okay, if you think about a big country, for example, India, okay, it has got a number of states, more than 25 states. Okay, so now earlier, actually, in each state, actually, ethnicity is different. Now, with the development of good road network, okay, the difference, or decrease in provincialism or regionalism has decreased. Same the case for other countries of the world. And globally, the worldwide differences, okay, it has decreased because people now move continuously, okay, and that's why actually maybe you take your breakfast here in Bangladesh, then maybe you take your lunch in Mumbai, and then you take your dinner in Dubai, okay, and that's how people are, and then next day you are coming back, and that's how people are moving. And one impact, cultural impact, is that since the regional differences are disappearing, so at the same time, it has got a negative impact because local color and character is also disappearing. For example, in our case, if we take the example of Chittagong Hill Tracks, so a lot of settlers are there. So when and then a lot of mixing. So the hilly people, they have got certain cultures. So the mixing, they are afraid that they may lose their cultural integrity. Same the case, okay, with other countries also. It happened actually in the past when the European, actually entered the USA and then wiped out the Red Indians, from the whole USA. So actually, the Western culture, actually it took replaced the aboriginal culture of the USA. Same the case happened in Australia. It is happening. It is happening throughout the world in all the times. And this happens when the dispersion system develops. Political impact. So transportation developed a sense of national unity because all the distant, remote places are connected. I said previously that sectionalism declined, and then people now are coming coming close to each other. They understand each other better, and then and then once you develop new routes, means of transport, it has got effect on the regional politics and also international politics. So these things we'll be covering from time to time in our lectures. If you take two examples, for example, the Panama Canal. So actually Panama Canal, actually this is the canal which separates the North America and South America. Now, actually, in U.S. defense policy, that means in the foreign policy, and also in also the U.S. defense policy, so Panama Canal was a very important factor because if you look at the map of USA, if you have map in front of you, imagine if there is no Panama Canal, then people from the east coast of the USA, they have to take a detour of the whole of the South America, and then they have to reach to the west coast of the USA. Now, due to the Panama Canal, so when Panama Canal was created or dug, so at that or opened at that time, it became very easy for the USA to travel. And that means the distance was shortened. So it was important for them to have a control of the Panama Canal. So this is the and it is also to hold Panama Canal. This has become a part of the defense policy and also the foreign policy. And recently, actually, China, that China has got the one belt, one road initiative. The aim is to create a network of railway, road, pipelines, and other issues, so which would link China and Central Asia, West Asia, and part of South Asia. So this initiative, which is known as One Belt, One Road, or OBOR, so it does not mean only physical connections. So they want to make it the world's largest platform for economic cooperation, and then and then for the increase of trade and financing collaboration and social and cultural cooperation. So if the One Belt, One Road, which is planned by China, if it is implemented, and it will be connected, it will connect a lot of regions, though there is some opposition from some of the countries, like from India. They don't want that, they have some observation about the China's initiative. They are suspicious about China's intention. So you see, that's how with the transportation, the political issues come up. And there are other factors like congestion of cities. In cities, once they become congested, so people lose for alternative means of transportation. Then that transport agencies, they are also a generator of the revenues for the government. And then with transportation facilities, there are business of billion-dollar businesses are affiliated. So these are other factors. With the development of transportation, these things come up. Transportation and individual. How transportation is connected to the individual? So transportation and someone's personal necessities, comforts, and luxuries, as well as those of his family and neighbors, are closely interrelated. So anything you buy from a shop, it has got a cost element of transportation. So how we can relate individual transportation as an engineer? If, for example, for yourself, you may be called upon to design routes or equipment for transport agencies. Okay, as a manufacturer, if you think yourself as a manufacturer, so you will be required to select the types of transport which will be most economical and efficient to extract raw materials or to sell or to distribute the finished products. So to access the raw materials, you will be requiring one type of transportation system, and for distributing those finished products from your manufacturing plant, you'll be requiring different types of transportation system. If you are if you want a freelancer, then actually okay, you look for that you find that transportation is a fertile and demanding field for investment. For example, in Bangladesh, some foreign companies they want to make a dedicated expressway from Dhaka to Chittagong. Okay, and then the aim is okay after constructing this expressway, they will operate it. For example, for 30 years, they will collect revenues, and then once the cost is collected, and then they'll leave it to the government. So those who want to finance, so they also look for these opportunities. Okay, the development of the infrastructure, and also to make it a source of their earning. Recently, you know that there are some initiatives from China in Pakistan and Sri Lanka, and one of the port of Sri Lanka actually now almost now it has become a controversial issue, and there is some resistance in Pakistan, because China is making some infrastructure, and okay, so these things are happening. And then as a lawmaker, one must consider the needs and problems of the country in relation to transportation and formation of regulatory policies. So when you introduce a new transportation system, you have to introduce new law. That's how a lawmaker is associated with the transportation. As military leader, some of you who are military, one must be aware of the essential role of transportation in national defense. So that's why, in case of Bangladesh Army, the engineers, ENC, engineers in chief, he is also a member. If any strategic road is made, then he is to be consulted. Okay, because every contribution you make, it has got some relation with the national defense somehow. Okay, so that's how military leaders get involved. As a city planner, so he must know how a city will function. Okay, because the city planner will try to make a city with that condition. So if you want to make a city with that condition, most probably instead of car-based infrastructure development, he has to plan for public transport-based development. That means transit-oriented development. The city planner plays an important role. So that's how the city planners, town planners, and the transportation engineers, at some point, they have to work together. Then we discussed about the sociological impact. So, with the effect of transportation, how the pattern of life, how the culture is changing. So that is a field of study of the sociologist. And as a citizen, actually, you'll be concerned with all of the above issues, which is required for the well-being of yourself and your country. And last of all, as a student, you have to understand, as a student of this course and as a student of civil engineering, this is your obligation to understand the fundamental principles and conditions. So if you don't understand properly, then maybe you may misuse the transport potential and which may incur economic loss. Transportation is a topic about which everybody gives their opinion. Why Dhaka is a congested city, how to remove the congestion of Dhaka. You will see that everybody will make some comment. But you, as an engineer, want to give an opinion. That should not be a layman's view. You want to give an opinion that should be based on solid engineering background. So transportation relates population to land use and integrates the country. And actually it integrates the entire world. And it makes the whole world into one fast industrially productive unit. So that is the first lesson. So we'll be closing this lesson, and then we'll be shifting to our next lesson, that is the lecture 2. Lecture 2 is about transportation systems. So for this will be reference is the book of Jatin Kisti and Kent Lal, that is the transportation engineering, and chapter 1 of this book is relevant to this lecture, transportation systems. So the topics that you can see on the screen, those will be covered. Okay, the nature and features of transportation engineering, then the interdisciplinary depth of transportation engineering, system approach. What is system approach we'll be learning? Then movement transportation, transportation system characteristics, then some attributes of transportation system and hierarchies and problems related to transportations. And at last, we will relate to transportation and sustainability. The fields of transportation engineering. So the Institute of Transportation Engineers, ITE, this is the formal definition of transportation engineering, is the application of technological and scientific principles to the planning, functional design, operation, and management of facilities for any mode of transportation, okay, in order to provide for the safe, rapid, comfortable, convenient, economical, and environmentally compatible movement of people and goods. So try to understand with an example. For example, if you want to, we have introduced MRT. For example, if you take the example of MRT 6, so at one stage, okay, so some study, okay, feasibility study, actually this route was determined, okay. So that is called the planning stage. Then when the planning stage wants to determine the route, then you have to go for the design part of the this MRT line, functional design, okay, because what will be the route, okay, how much train will be there in MRT 6, and what will be the capacity, okay, and then what will be the landing stations, okay, and how people will enter and then leave the once the MRTs. So so those issues falls under functional design, the operation itself. So once the MRT is on, then you need dedicated people to operate it and to manage the facility. Okay, and then the ultimate aim is to make the MRT one is a safe one, a rapid one, and it should be comfortable, it should be convenient, and it should be economical. But in many cases, actually, the public transport system, except very few countries, normally, actually, this is a sector actually where government gives subsidy. Okay, in majority of the cases, it has been found that those public transport facilities like MRTs or subways does not become that much economical, but with some subsidy of government, it operates. But in some countries, okay, these are very economically viable projects. And then if you talk about the MRT, definitely it is environmental friendly if you compare it with the normal car-based, road-based traffic system. So with an example, we understood what is the definition of transportation engineering, which is given by ITE. And traffic engineering, actually, it is more specific. More specific, it is a branch of transportation engineering. So it deals with the planning, the geometry design, and traffic operations of roads, streets, highways, and then networks, terminals, and then neighboring land, that is the abutting lands, and then relates this with other modes of transportation. Traffic engineering is an offshoot of transportation engineering. Transportation engineering, it is said that it is a multidisciplinary area of study because here you draw concepts from economics, geography, operation research, regional planning, sociology, psychology, probability, and statistics, together with the normal analytical tools of engineering. For example, if you want to introduce MRT system, then whether it will be a viable option or not. And when you use an MRT system, then maybe you will compel people, those who will not avail the MRT, those car users, you may impose the road pricing for them. Okay, and then when you use the MRT line, then with the geography is an important issue which you need to think, and the operational research. Operation research is actually this is discipline which deals with the application of advanced analytical methods to make better decisions. So operation research is a systematic approach, okay, and where through various advanced analytical tools, you can differentiate between various options and you can reach to a better decisions. So regional planning. So this actually are integrated with transport. Okay. For example, it is said that with the subway, to make plan for subway or if you plan for MRT. So those subway stations or those MRT stations should be such that the township around those stations should be developed in that way. So that means the town should be developed in a concentric pattern, okay, instead of a linear pattern. In our case, what happens? We see the roads and then we see the ribbon development adjacent to the road. That means maybe the roads are developed and then we can see unplanned development of the city, which is very much which we see very much in our country. But if you go for proper planning, town planning, okay, at that time you can integrate those MRT lines or subway lines, okay, with the town planning system, so that the system that you are developing that is a transit-friendly system. And sociology, the behavior of the people, whether they will accept it or not, psychology of the people, their mindset, and then probability of using facilities. So actually all those things, whether what will be the future condition, what will be the probable condition of a specific route. For example, if the traffic volume as on today, for example, in 2021 is, for example, X, then maybe in 2025 or 2030, it will be more. So then you have to make some analysis, and then you will be requiring some statistical tools to analyze those issues. That's why it is said that it is not that only about transport engineering. You should have ideas about the economics, then regional planning, sociology, psychology, then statistics and other issues. So in the next slide, you can see that this slide shows the interdisciplinary depth of transportation engineering. So in this slide, the upper left part, you can see that social science, okay, the economics, then planning and architecture, okay, and then the system engineering. So this falls under transportation planning. These are called the soft side of transportation engineering. On the right side, the right bottom side, you can see that the geometric design or the soil mechanics, the pavement design. These are called the actually the lower right part, the hard side of transportation engineering. So together, this soft side or hard side that makes transportation engineering in total. System approach of transportation engineering. What is a system? A system is a set of interrelated parts called components that perform a number of functions in order to achieve common goals. That means in a system, there are some interrelated issues, okay, which if they are synchronized, then the system will perform. System analysis is the application of scientific method to the solution of complex goals. So what are the steps to system analysis? That means, okay, you can see on the slide, number 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll try to understand that with an example. For example, the first topic is recognize community problems and values. If we take an example, that in Dhaka, okay, the pedestrian movement. So this is a major hassle because you see our road networks are developed in such a way. Actually, dedicated pedestrian walkways are not present, and sometimes disabled people, okay, they cannot use those footpaths. And then in the junctions, that means in the intersections, actually the facilities that we see for the pedestrians, those are not actually enough, and the system is not pedestrian friendly. So these are the community problems. Okay, the community one. Actually, a road it is not for the car owners or not for the bus users. road is for everybody. Someone will say, because everybody is a taxpayer, someone will say that, okay, I'll take a walk. I'll not avail any vehicle. Someone will say, I'll use cycle. Okay. And someone will say that I'll make a munition. I'll walk certain distance, then I'll avail an MRT. So all of them are, as a citizen, they have the right to use this road space. Okay. So you have to address those issues. So we have given the example of pedestrian problem. So if we take that, so you have to identify in system analysis, you have to recognize what are the problems, okay, and what is their expectations. Then you have to establish goals. Goals are desired end states. So what can be the goal? To make the safe and comfortable, hassle-free movement of the pedestrians in Dhaka city. So this may be one goal. Then you have to define objectives. So objectives are operational statement of goals. So you have to now set the define the objectives. Okay. Then you have to establish the criteria. What is criteria? The principle or the standard by which something may be judged or decided. For example, in an intersection, you know that if it is a four-phase signal, that means, in each signal, a pedestrian can move from one side to another side. So you have to identify that why the pedestrians can move freely during the signal, that the pedestrian, those are accumulated at a particular place within the given rate, that they can pass the whole road with or not. So that may be one criteria. And maybe in some places you may tell that the pedestrian walkway should be 3 meters or 4 meters. So that's how you establish criteria. We are just giving example with one. Then sometimes at the mid-block sections, that means between two intersections, that is called a link or mid-block. So if the distance is 2 miles, and if there is no means for the pedestrians to cross, every after 500 meters, as a thumb rule, there should be a place for the safe crossing of the pedestrians. If you make for example, access control highway. For example, in Purvachal, 14 lane or 16 lanes are 14 lanes are constructed, and then pedestrians need to pass from one part of that express to the other part, whether they will use overpass or they will use underpass or not, and how frequently those overpasses or underpasses should be located, and how the people will use if it is an overpass, whether it will be in stair-based or it will have a escalator. So those are the criteria you need to set. And then design alternative actions to achieve step 2 and 3. So in step 2 and 3, you have set your goals, you have set your objectives, and then now you find out that what are the alternative actions you have. And then we evaluate alternative actions in terms of effectiveness and costs. For example, for the pedestrian crossing in the mid-block, you may go for underpass, you may go for a foot over bridge, or in an intersection also, you can go for overpass or underpass, or you may just keep it as it is. That means with the signal, the pedestrian will cross. So effectiveness and cost, these two terms will come at that time. And step 7 is question the objectives and all assumptions. So again, you are questioning the objective that you have set, the assumptions that you have made. And then in step 8, then you look for new alternatives, or you modify, your plans. And then maybe you establish new objectives, and you repeat the cycle until a satisfactory solution is reached, which will meet the criteria, standards, and values. So that means system approach of transportation engineering is that you, at first, you have to identify what is the need of the community of the users, and then you have to set the objectives or goals. And then you have to look for various options. You have to see which option is most cost effective, and then effective in terms of operation and cost effective both, and which is convenient and which brings comfort for the users. And then after a lot of trials, then you reach to a solution. That is called the system approach of transportation engineering. Now I'll be talking about the movement in transportations, conditions for movement of people and goods. This is important. This is important. The first topic is complementarity. That means the relative attractiveness between two or more destinations. Okay. That means if you want to, for example, you are living in point A, so whether you go to point B or point C or point D or point E, actually it will depend. For example, you are living in Tora. Now you can, for study purpose, you may come to MST, you may go to Dhaka University, or you may go to Bosundara, where there are some private universities. So actually, the place has got some attractiveness, and then you have got some special facilities. So these are the issues then you look for at that time. Then the desire to overcome distance, okay, that is which is referred to as transferability. That is, it is measured in terms of time and money. You need to overcome this distance. The best technology available to achieve this. For example, from Uttara, if you want to come to MIT, so what are the options you have? You can come by, okay, at present by bus, okay, or you may use your own car, or you may have multiple transportation modes, okay. And actually, at that time, you will see that which one saves you time and which one saves you money. Okay, okay. So that's how you choose. And then the last point is overriding opportunities. That means when there are several locations are there, and when you have to choose out of several locations, then which locations has got better opportunities. Okay, okay. So that actually guides the movement of people and goods based on those issues: the complementarity, then transferability, and then overriding opportunities. So how people and goods move from an origin to a destination, okay, is a matter of mode choice. So what mode they will choose, that will dictate. And this mode choice is made depending on time, speed, efficiency, cost, safety, convenience, on those issues. This slide shows the simple connection between the land use and disposition, okay. So this is like a circle, okay. So because certain land use will produce certain amount of certain type of trips. Okay. So if the land use is okay, if the land is used for residential area, so from residential area, every day morning there will be some trips made for school, some trips made for work, some trips will be made for just for shopping. Okay. And if the land use pattern is that it is an industrial area, so that means the trips, the mode of transport will be different. So basing on the trips, the transportation needs will be different. For industrial area, if the land use pattern is industrial area, transportation need is one. If the land use pattern is residential area, transportation need is another. Then you have to look at what are the facilities you have. For a residential area, okay, you may have, okay, an MRT to connect that residential area to other destinations. You may have taxi cab. You may have the BRTs. You may have the private cars. What transportation facilities do you have? Again, that is connected to the accessibility. There are MRTs, there are cars, but actually, can you afford it or not? Which one is good for you? That is one issue. At the same time, the road network that is available, whether the road network allows you to access actually a particular facility or not. For example, your house is located. If you take the example of MRT6, you know the line of MRT6. It is starting from Uttara, then going through Saida Mitpur Cantonment, then Pallavi, and then going further. So if you are staying 3 or 4 kilometers away from these MRT stations, so you have a problem of accessibility. Okay, and then when with the transportation facilities, actually, I said previously that the land value are related. So whenever the new facilities are developed, land value increases, and land value actually is related to the land use. So you see, there is these issues: the land use, trips, transportation needs, transportation facilities, accessibility, land value. These are interrelated. So land use is one of the prime determinants of movement and activity. Movement and transportation, we're talking about movement and transportations. And this activity, okay, we'll call it trip generation, which will dictate what transportation facilities, that is streets and bus systems, will be needed to move traffic. So a change in accessibility will determine the change in the value of land. And this change may affect the way the land is currently used. For example, for Mirpur diocese, those who are residing in Mirpur diocese, if people find that, okay, for Mirpur diocese, they can easily have an access to the MRT stations, which are located at Pallavi. So the land value will be one type. And if it is such that they don't have the access, so land value will be different. So a change in accessibility will determine the change in the value of land, and it will change the way the land is used. Now, if such change occurs, that means if a residential area changes to commercial area, the trip generation rate will change, and the whole cycle of changes will result. For example, earlier, Dharmandi was a pure residential area, but over the last 3 years, it has become it has lost its residential fabric. It has become a mixed land use pattern. So trips are actually are also different because there are a lot of universities, there are a lot of food courts, a lot of markets beside the residential area. So trips are changing. Okay. So and then land use pattern, the change of land use pattern, and then the mode of transport, everything is related. Transportation system characteristics. Okay, this is a simple slide. That there are 4 basic elements in any of the in most of the transportation system. One is called a link. Link means the roadway. It means which connects 2 or more points. Okay, the roadways or sea lanes or airways or waterways or beltways. Then you'll be requiring vehicles. It can be motor car, it can be bus, ship, or airplane. Then you will be requiring terminals. That means the nodes for the travel. And in case of sea, the shipment begins or ends. Then you'll be requiring parking garage, office parking lots, loading docks, bus stops, airports, bus terminals. So this will be coming on the terminals. So one is called the road itself, one is called the vehicle, then the terminals, and then you'll be requiring some people to manage, operate, then maintain these links, vehicles, and terminals. So these are the 4 basic elements of any transportation system. This is important basic attributes of the transportation system. So transportation systems can be evaluated in terms of 3 basic attributes. One is called ubiquity, one is called mobility, another one is called the efficiency. What is ubiquity? Ubiquity means the state or capacity of being everywhere. That means the amount of accessibility to the system, the directness of the routing between access points, and the system's feasibility to handle a variety of traffic conditions. For example, if this statement will be clear, if we take the example of highway and then and railway. So highway is more ubiquitous than in compared to railroads because highways are more accessible. Okay, routes are actually more or less it gives door-to-door service. But in case of railroads, they follow a fixed line, and railroads do not give you door-to-door service. So from the ubiquity point of view, highways are more ubiquitous in comparison to railroads. But within the highway, if we talk the freeway and the local road, the freeway are less ubiquitous because in freeway are access control. So your house may be located just beside a freeway, but you may not have the access to the freeway. But local roads and streets, so it is more accessible. Mobility. So with accessibility or ubiquity comes the task mobility. So in a freeway or a major arterial road or an expressway has got high mobility, but it will have less access. On the other way, a local road may have low mobility, but it will have high access. Okay, so even if you compare it with the water transport, so water transport, it has got normally it is compared low speed, but capacity per vehicle is high. In case of rail system, it has got high speed, it has got high capability, but water transport and rail system in terms of mobility, so you can see if you compare it with road, so actually in terms of speed, the speed is less in case of water. In case of rail, okay, you may have high speed and high capability. And efficiency, it is the relationship between the cost of transportation and the productivity of the system, that is efficiency. So transportation system can be evaluated in three basic attributes. So this table 1.1 summarizes the basic characteristics of major transportation modes. Just see the slides. I'll not go into the details like the highways, then ubiquity, mobility, efficiency, mode, passenger and freight. Okay, then go through the slide, rail transport, then air transport, and then water transport. So you must go through it in terms of these three attributes: the ubiquity, mobility, and efficiency, and what are the modes are related with each system, and they are classified into passenger and freight into categories. Let's go through these slides. So transportation systems hierarchies, the classification of transportation modes, okay, into different operational system or functional class. Okay. Now we're talking about the functional classification of highway, okay, because it has been seen that if we classify the roads basing on the functions the road it will provide, then it will become easier for others to understand. For example, the economists, the sociologists, the planners, the administrators, they can understand. And classify the roads according to their functional use. This is widely used in Western countries, but which is not very much seen in our country. In our case, the roads have RSD or AGD. They classify roads according to the traffic volume. Okay, national highways, regional highways, or the district roads, they are based on traffic volumes, and with the increase of traffic volume, the status of these roads are changed. That means our classification is based on traffic volume. But in other countries, they classify the road according to its intended use. So if you look at this slide, so this is the highway. So for example, so if this is the actually the expressway, so main movement is the freeway. So main movement occurs through this freeway, and through a ramp, they may come to actually the arterial. Then from the arterial through a distributor road, the traffic are delivered to the actually the local states. Same way, so from the local state, the traffic are collected, then it delivers through collector road to the arterial. From the arterial, okay, then it is delivered to the freeway. So this is the basic mechanism, okay, and then okay. So you can see that there is a hierarchy of movement, okay. So the inadequacy parts of the hierarchy to accommodate each trip, okay, it will dictate whether the system will be functionable or not. Okay, so there is a balance. You have to maintain. There is a science. Okay, how much area in a city should be allocated for freeway? How much area should be allocated for the arterial roads? How much for collector road and local road? So these are prescribed. So if you do not follow that, and if it does not tally with the demand, then the system will fail. Actually, that's what is happening in case of our capital. So this slide shows schematic illustration of functional classified rural highway network. You can see that the arterials. So this is the arterials. The strongly black dotted part is the arterial roads. These are the collector roads. These are the local roads. The road network should be developed in this way. Here you can see a suburban street network. Here this is the arterial road. This is the arterial road. These are the 4 arterial roads. And then you have got some commercial areas. You have got some residential areas. You see the road network. So these are the residential areas. So the road network is developed in such a way so that actually through the local roads, the traffic is delivered to the character state, and from the character state, traffic is coming to the arterial state. So actually, though this is a cultural street, this is sorry, though this is a arterial street, so the traffic cannot actually these people, those who are residing here, বা চাইলেই তোমার যে আর্টারিয়ালি কিন্তু এন্ট্রি করতে পারবে না, ওদেরকে প্রথমে রোড ধরে একটা রোড গিয়ে তারপর আর্টারি থেকে আসতে হবে। So I think the time is over. So in next class, okay, we'll be talking about more with the remaining part of this lesson. Thank you.
Sound, sir.
Almost done.